Welcome to the South, the dirty South, the bottom of the map, the cradle of arts and entertainment in these continental United States, the home of candy paint, swingers and syrup, peanut butter interior, and parking lot pimping. Welcome to the Genius Generation Podcast. This is your host, the professor, aka the curator of dope shit, Nathan Rito. And I am here today splitting my show, the Genius Generation Podcast, up with my players from the South because you all know, because of conditions and situations right now, I haven't been able to record episode 4, 5, and 6 of Players from the South. So I'm bringing in people and doing interviews from home and everything. And today is a real treat. I have the lovely, ambitious, talented, innovative, entrepreneurial DJ Roots Queen. How are you?
I'm really, really great. Thank you for having me.
Hey, no problem at all. I've been wanting to talk to you for a while because, you know, we met at the event, at Zaytoven's event at Pandora a few months ago. And we didn't have much time to talk or whatever. But I know like a couple of days later, I started following you on social media. And a couple of days later, you had posted something regarding the Manny Fresh and Scott Storch battle that they had. And just by what you posted, it caught my attention. I said, shit, that's somebody I got to talk to right there. Because it's clear you kind of understood something that a lot of people don't. They talk about hits and whatever, but you understood the value of a catalog and the value of development in a producer and in an artist's career. So I want to talk to you about that. But as everybody know, I like to get started by doing a little history around this date in hip hop. And today we are going to start with what I got. June 13th, 1987. The great LL Cool J releases I'm Bad, the single on Def Jam Records, and it happened to be the leadoff single from the album Bigger and Deffer. And it peaked at number 84 on the Billboard Hot 100 and number 4 on the R&B charts. And that was a pretty dope time. I think I was about in the 8th grade when that came out. So it sounded groundbreaking at the time because the bass line was undeniable. And LL was one of those guys I think we all wanted to be like at 11, 12, 13 years around that time. So that's June 13th, 1987. And then I have two dates in 1988. June 21st, 1988, EPMD releases their debut, Strictly Business, on Fresh Sleeping Bag Records. And EPMD, Eric and Parrish Making Dollars, became, of course, legendary group. And when I used to rap back in the days, one of the first people I tried to emulate, make my voice sound like was Parrish Smith, PMD, Mr. Slow Flow. So that's another legendary act in hip hop history. And also 1988, June 28th, the great lyricist Big Daddy Kane releases his debut album, Long Live the Kane, on Cold Chillin' Warner Brothers Records. And that is around this date, June 1988. So, Roots, you got something you want to add to any one of these?
Oh, yeah. Well, I remember LL Cool J when that dropped. And I'm going to tell you why. I was considerably younger. I was in elementary school.
Okay.
But the I Need Love song, that was huge. That song, Computer Love, those were, you know, songs that, I don't know, I was pretty hip. You know, I'm from Tampa, so the kids there, we was pretty much into it all. We knew, I can remember talking about Duran Duran when I was 4 and being into Duran Duran. So it's something that I've just like always been into. But I was an MTV baby. I could not stop watching music videos.
Right.
Like I could not. Yeah. EPMD, again, one of my favorites. I did not realize that Strictly Business came out in 1988. I didn't really get hip to EPMD till probably about 92. But I did. So a lot of the stuff that I did with hip hop, and not even just hip hop, but especially when you go back, I am like kind of like you. I'm a historian. That's why they call me Roots, because it's like I have to know everything. You know, on my computer, I've got, just yesterday when I did my show yesterday, I started with some Last Poets, and then I was looking, I'm like, dang, I got so much stuff. I got all the Gil Scott-Heron, all of the Willie Hutch, like anything that was from any type of blaxploitation film or any type of civil rights or cool 70s stuff or anything like that. I just had to know all of it. I just was like obsessed with that part of American culture. It was just like nothing that I had ever been around or seen. And I just wanted to experience all of it. I was like mad that I wasn't able to be alive back then. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know. I understand that. Yeah. And it's funny you brought that up because we did a show last year and we I think I can't remember what we named the episode, but we did interesting parallels between what was considered the blaxploitation era and hip hop and how much influence hip hop took from that era, because you had one segment of society who looked at it as blaxploitation, but then from somebody like me, I looked at it as creativity and entrepreneurial as I introduced you.
Oh yes.
So that's why it was noteworthy from my standpoint.
Well, that was why I really wanted, that was one of the things that sparked my interest about it. And of course, hip hop was the gateway to that because I was kind of like a Z-Trip type of person. I wanted to know where the sample came from and what the original song was, you know? And then when I figured out what it was, I started watching documentaries and learning more about like the making of movies. Like I know everything that there is to possibly know about what went on when they filmed Sweet Sweetback's Badass Song. And it was truly creative and entrepreneurial and real, you know? It was amazing. It was amazing. So, yeah.
All right, and you mentioned you're growing up in Tampa. What was the city of Tampa like in relation to hip hop coming of age?
Well, okay, it's coming of age in hip hop, you know, we had Shock G worked on the radio there. And he actually got fired from radio. We used to have a radio station similar to in Atlanta to Kiss 104.1, where they would play all the rare grooves and the oldies and the Isley Brothers and everything like that. We used to have that in Tampa.
Okay.
And he got fired. You want to know what he got fired for?
What's that?
I'll tell you, I do my research. He got fired for playing the extended album cut of Skin Tight.
Wow. You're talking Shock G from Digital Underground.
Yeah, he's from Tampa. Yes.
From Tampa. Wow, I did not know that. Wow.
Yes, he is.
Dope.
And the legendary, his DJ, the original DJ for Digital Underground was legendary Kenny K.
Okay.
He actually, his story is really, really sad. Not long after he donated his time to the relief for Hurricane Andrew in '91, he passed away of kidney failure. He was not able to get a kidney transplant in time. But notably, he's a notable person. He had a show called the Digital, was it called Digital Underground? No, it was not called the Digital Underground. It was called the Underground Railroad.
Okay.
With Boy Wonder.
Right.
And Mad Links ended up taking it over because Mad Links is from Tampa too, from BET. So you have to think, we have a Yankee Stadium down there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We got a lot of New Yorkers in Tampa. So, you know, being around all of that was like the easy part. You know what I mean? All the culture is there. Everybody's already there. Plus, we have like a huge Haitian population. We have a huge Puerto Rican population, a huge Caribbean population. So me being the curious person that I was, you know, I was from the wrong side of the track. So I didn't really get to hang out with the rich, popular white people.
Okay.
So I had to go hang out with the people that they didn't like. And I'm like, well, these guys are way cooler anyways. So here I am, 4th grade, like, you know.
Now, what for you to become as successful of a DJ as you are, what type of musical background do you have in your family that possibly contributed to you doing what you want to do? Okay,
well, my father was really, really, really into music and records and vinyl and always went to concerts and festivals. My father went to Woodstock. You know, he was like a really groovy guy. Now, I have an aunt that can play I don't really talk to this part of my family a lot because I've got some uncles that have I don't know about anymore because I haven't talked to them in so long, but I should probably circle back with everything that's going on in society or whatever. But I have an aunt that plays the accordion, the fiddle, and the banjo.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's how, Now her husband was a member of Asleep at the Wheel. and I'm not sure if you know who that is.
Haven't heard.
That's my cousin's dad. So it's not really anybody that I was even really like related to out like that. Now, when you land in Austin, Texas, they have in the airport in the Sleep at the Wheel Cafe, and that's the band that my cousin's dad was in. They got divorced when I was a kid. Yeah, so it's like a famous bluegrass band. So
okay.
my dad was really into bluegrass too, and reggae. Anything cultural, they were like really into it, you know.
Okay.
So.
First concert you ever been to? What's the first concert?
MC Hammer when I was in 6th grade.
Oh, that's dope. That's dope. High powered show, huh? He put on a show.
He sure did. He sure did. That was like, and I was wearing my shiny shoes and my MC Hammer pants, and I had on like the whole jacket with the like polka dots and like the fluffy thing on my bow. Yeah.
Oh, that's dope. Now, your affinity for reggae, how did that develop?
Going to reggae concerts when I was a little kid with my dad. And just, I don't know, you know, I grew up literally in my neighborhood. I literally grew up around tons of Jamaican people. So I can remember us getting, and actually back then it wasn't called dancehall like that. We called it ragamuffin.
Okay.
That's what we called it. It was something different back then, and they would just be on these cassette tapes. And I can remember I got a hold of a few cassette tapes, and you know, the girls would teach us how to do the dances and everything, and it just kind of always stuck. My best friend, also, she was Jamaican too, but her mom was really, really, really traditional. That's the right word I'm looking for. So we weren't allowed to like listen to any of that around her. We had to listen to gospel music around her.
Okay. Yeah. What is it? There was a certain period in time, I want to say, early to mid, all the way up through the late 90s, where you had hip hop and dance hall. They had a tight connection. Or what do you think? What do you think happened to that?
I think it's still there. It's definitely still there, for sure. It is. I think that what happened with that, I think that has to do with labels and lawyers. I don't really think it's the people collabing, because everybody's dying to work together, but it's just getting everything set up and who's going to pay for what. And, you know, the stipulations at the end. Oh yeah, I wanted to backtrack a little bit. The other thing that really kept me up to date with the music outside of the Underground Railroad, DJ Kenny K, rest in peace. It was the only place, this was in the 90s, like I don't think people understand, the only time that I could hear Ghetto Boys, EPMD, groups that don't even exist anymore, like this goes out to everybody on the corner smoking weed and drinking brown water, like hits that people don't even remember.
Right.
Okay, so with that being said, the other thing that really kept me up to date was Columbia House. Some little
Columbia
remember
House.
Them CDs that you could order for 1 penny?
You put that penny, you tape it down, and you send it in. You get the CDs. Yeah. Oh, we dating ourselves now.
I know, it's okay. I think I still might owe them some money. I wonder if it's on my credit report.
Excuse me. This is the Professor Nathan Rito, the curator of Dope Shit on the Genius Generation podcast. And I'm today sitting here with DJ Roots Queen. And Queen, I just want to tell you that I started this show, The Genius Generation, because I wanted to pay homage to my own Generation X for what we considered as, I guess, the hip hop generation, because we grew up. I was born in 1973, came up with this, and I'm 46 years old now, and I still walk with this. And I just like to speak with interesting people in hip hop. I consider geniuses. I have DJs and producers. I hold them in the highest regard, because you guys are the lifeblood of the culture. You have the pulse, your hand, you have a finger on everything. You know how to energize a room when it needs to be energized. And I like to talk about the grind that it took for you to first get started, because I know how it is. I used to be a rapper. I used to try to produce and everything. So let's talk about your grind, getting started when you first started DJing. I think it was at age 17.
Yeah, I started DJing when I was 17.
Yeah. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, well, my dad, Okay, that was the other thing that I wanted to talk about was my relationship with my father. We were very, 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 very close. Like, I'm not even kidding. The first CD that I ever bought was for my 13th birthday, and my dad took me to Peaches Music. Mm-hmm. Old as hell. Now, also, I fall on the line, like, see, I was born in 79, so I'm technically sort of Gen X, but really, I was 1 year old, so I don't remember anything about the 70s, and I remember everything about the 80s. Okay. So I'm one of those people that they call an exennial. I'm kind of like Gen X and a millennial, like kind of together. So, you know, I still remember all the Peaches and all that type of stuff. The first CD that I ever bought was A Wolf in Sheep's Clothing from Black Sheep. Mm-hmm. I loved it. Loved it. It was my favorite thing. Got put onto it from DJ Kenny K. That was what I was going to say too, is back then, you didn't hear hip hop on the radio. Right. If you did, it was something like Funky Cold Medina. Okay. Like you did not hear hip hop on the radio, or on the regular station. If they did play hip hop, they were playing like Clady, they were playing Luke, and they were playing Florida booty music. Okay. So the only place that you could really hear this politically powered stuff were there. I remember I just wanted to hear it because I wanted to hear them rap and cuss in the rap. Something about that just like got me. I'm 13 years old, like, felt like I'm doing something, you know. And my dad actually was really into hip hop with me, specific kinds of hip hop. He liked Bone Thugs and Harmony. Okay. He liked the extended version of For the Love of Money. Yeah. And his favorite Tupac song was Violent. He loved that song. Violent. So, I gotta go back and dig that one up. Oh yeah. Okay. Oh yeah. They say, and guess what? They sample Shabba Ranks too. Pirates Anthem and Coco T. Okay. Just all right. We play with the people. Oh yeah. It was on the album that has "Holla If You Hear Me" and everything on it. That's what album it's on. Strictly. Strictly. I think it is on Strictly. On Strictly. Yeah. Okay. Mm-hmm. So that being said, when I lost him, when he died tragically in that car accident, man. I not only retreated from hip hop, I retreated from everything. And that was when I really found the first time in my life I found a place that I belonged and I wasn't in pain and everybody liked me. And I don't know, I had never had a sense of belonging like that before. And that was started going to raves and stuff. And that was what I started DJing, was drum and bass. And I really liked the drum and bass because it was a derivative of reggae and dancehall. So that's where that came from. And it was all different kinds of people out there, and it was just different, you know. A lot of times when I was younger and I was in different crowds, I can remember in high school, I really hung out with the burnouts because it was like the black people didn't like me, the rednecks didn't like me, you know what I'm saying? Nobody liked me, you know, and this was the first time that anybody liked me. I remember all the people that I went to this really snotty private school too. All them same kids, like after everybody graduated and stuff like that, I can remember them like being in Ybor City, walking past and me hanging out with like all the skater kids and all the freaks and ravers and stuff like that. Yeah. And they were just like literally riding past, looking sad as hell, like, hey, I wish that I could hang out with them. And you can hang out with us, honey. I'm talking about, we were like literally, I don't know if you've ever heard of some of the people that I saw in concert. It was like definitely, I'm so happy that I was experiencing in my life going to see Chemical Brothers, you know, Dub Tribe, you know, Josh Wink, like these are huge names that people still know now. Carl Cox, you know, Derek May, Derek Carter, you know, like Scott and Robbie Hardkiss, like being able to like be around a different type of people outside of just the people that I had been around in school was incredible. And so that was like empowering for me when I first started seeing the DJs, and I'm like, now how cool would that be if a girl did that? And I was like, that's what I want to do. That's what you want to do. Mm-hmm. And I've been doing it ever since. Oh, that's dope. Mm-hmm. When did you make your move to Atlanta? How long did you DJ in Tampa before you moved to Atlanta? Okay, see, back then, you know, we had to have our own turntables and vinyl and everything like that. So I was really lucky. My parents didn't help me buy any of it. My boyfriend at the time had turntables. So And actually, he didn't even have the turntables. He bought the turntables when we were dating. And my mom definitely, helped pay a bill or two to make things a little bit easier, because I was like 17, 18 at the time. So that was how we ended up getting turntables. And that was why I was able to like practice every day and stuff like that. And so I just started buying my own records and, practicing. And within 6 months, I was DJing out. And that's how that came about and happened. And then I moved to Atlanta when I graduated with my associate's degree from Hillsborough Community College.
Okay.
And that was in 2001. Literally a month after I was in school at Agnes Scott here in Decatur, Georgia, about a month after that, 9/11 happened. And that kind of like messed me up all the way. I never was able to recover with my studies from that.
Right.
Going into that school that one day and seeing that look on everybody's face, and then looking up and realizing what happened, it was just too much for me. Yeah. Also, the other issue is I could not get them to schedule my classes in a way that would fit with my work schedule, because I was already DJing at a lot of places. I was DJing out on Tuesday nights, and it was like I could not get out of an 8 o'clock in the morning lab, and it just, I don't know, the scheduling just wasn't going to work for me, so that's how that happened. But yeah, I mean, back in the day, being a female DJ, it was easy to get gigs and easy to get booked, because nobody had ever even hardly seen that many female DJs, So I definitely took advantage of that and played wherever I could. It was crazy. I felt like I was, even if it wasn't much money, I was always getting paid from like the first time that I ever started DJing. Now you got to go out there and show and prove yourself, and it's crazy.
Yeah. What were your earliest, I want to say, influences as far as being a DJ? Whose sound you've probably tried to emulate until you develop your own style. Who are the people that you looked up to? I had EPMD's DJ Scratch was my favorite, and Richie Rich from Third Base. Those are my two favorite DJs. Who are people that you admire?
A DJ, his name was DJ Pauly. Definitely DJ Pauly. People like Hubert. Who else? Now, like when I got a little bit older, it was like DJ Jazzy Jeff for sure. DJ Infamous is another one. Those two, pretty much DJ Infamous and DJ Jazzy Jeff. But back then, probably like DJ Pauly, like I said, because honestly, local DJs were our hometown heroes back then. I didn't really know nothing about any of these big, huge DJs back then. You know?
Okay. Yeah. All right. Now, I see. I was going over and reading over your bio and everything, and talking about your decade-long experience in the Southeast region. Let's talk about Southern hip hop specifically.
Okay.
I ask everybody who comes on the show. I had a legend from East Coast yesterday. Daddy-O from Stetson Sonic was on with me yesterday, and I asked him. I asked him in general, what does hip hop, real hip hop, mean to you? Because it means something different to everybody. But for you, let me ask you specifically: what is Southern hip hop to you? Okay, so Southern hip hop to me started with basically a lot of the songs that were on this is like the easiest way to explain it to somebody, is a lot of the songs that were on the Menace to Society soundtrack that were not the LA tracks. Yeah. Like that, Spice One, MC8 type stuff, like the UGK, UGK, 8 Ball and MJG, Texas, Ghetto Boys, Rap a Lot, that's pretty much what it was. Now, when I was younger, I didn't really like differentiate like Southern rap from New York rap. Like all golden era hip hop, it was all golden era to me. I didn't like differentiate that. Like My Mind's Playing Tricks on Me was a golden era song to me, even though I knew they were from Texas. Does that make sense? Right. Yeah. So, back then, I don't think that it really mattered as much as it did in the 2000s. Now in the 2000s, to be honest with you, I wasn't really messing with a lot of that stuff. I was in the 2000s. I don't really talk about it, but I was touring with a lot of reggae bands and in Florida and through Georgia. But I also was Dinko D's tour DJ for Leaders of the New School, so I was still like heavy into, I was still into like Madlib, J-Lib, J Dilla. Who's the guy that I used to like a lot? Mr. Lith. We were go see Atmosphere. You know what I'm saying? We were into like
we were still into like, I guess, backpack hip hop back then. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And my friends, they would be like driving down the street, listening to like Goldfinger, like all this crunk stuff and Paul Wall. And I just was not into it until probably about 2006, 2007. And that was because I met a guy that was a producer, and I did not know that he was a producer or what he produced or anything like that, but he was a producer for Grand Hustle, and he produced for T.I. And he was a cool guy from New York and wanted to be more interested in his work and what he did. It was what really had me listening to that, and then going to clubs with him and being around like DJ Drama and stuff like that had me like more receptive and open to that, because before that we were up in MJQ, like we were like, oh, that's ignorant, like we don't get down like that. And then I realized how stuck up I was being, and I didn't want to be one of those stuck up hip hop snobs, you know?
Yeah. You have a long list of accomplishments and dope ass resume. What was it like for you? Well, let me ask you, how did Zaytoven discover you? Even though I don't want to say discover, you already had a long line of your own accomplishments, but how did that meeting first take place?
Okay, so how I met Zaytoven was my manager is actually the one that discovered me. And the way that he discovered me was because I was still doing rural radio back then. I was on Desert Storm Radio with DJ Clue. And my friend, Tia Culver, she had recommended a female rapper named Q the Queen to me to host my radio show with me. And so when I met her, she was tightly affiliated with Zaytoven and was on Zaytown Sorority 1 and was basically always in the studio with Zay. That was like the main producer that she was working with. So because of that, and see, this is the thing, I didn't push the issue. That's one little advice in my secret. I swore to God I'd never tell anybody that. But you got to learn how to use psychology and attract what you want instead of going out being thirsty and letting people know that that's what your intentions are the whole time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, you got to know how to move a certain type of way to catch the attention of the person that you're trying to get their attention. And that goes with marketing and everything. It's basically pull marketing. You know what I'm saying? It's the easiest trick in the book. So basically it just started with them, hey, can I send you this DJ service pack for Zaytoven's new record? Sure, yeah, whatever you need. Getting him to do drops for our mixtapes, stuff like that, showing up to the club and going into the section and doing our little thing and leaving, going to performances and stuff. That's how that started. And I was actually working for Drummer Boy at the time. I was DJing with Drum Squad DJs, and he had gotten me a job at the strip club at Platinum 21. So I was really working for Drummer Boy. But what happened is that the person that was running Drummer Boy's road management for this particular trip in South by Southwest, she didn't know what she was doing. And Zay's road manager picked me up from the airport and paid for half of my equipment rental and made sure that I didn't get stranded and stuff like that. So just on that strength of the support, you know what I mean? Like people, they think that they want to run something and they think that they want to manage a trip or something like that, but they don't know the first thing about booking tickets. They don't know the first thing about coordinating things. You can't leave people sit in places, especially when you're going to somewhere like South by Southwest. When people get to Austin, they don't know nothing about Austin. You think they're trying to sit at the airport for 3 hours? Yeah.
Yeah. And then you immediately became his tour DJ when you met him? What was the process like?
I did not immediately become his tour DJ. I'm trying to think back to how that went. How that ended up happening was, let me think about some of the events. We would do our own events and I would DJ the event. So like, let's say this is the type of stuff that we would do that DJs don't understand. They're like, oh, I never get booked anywhere, man. We were buying booth rentals and tent rentals and space at Birthday Bash Block Party. And creating our own showcase and doing our own interviews and putting up our own money to do these events and charging the DJs for the performance slots and the marketing and to be on the step and repeats, and you know what I'm saying? Like we weren't just like, oh, poor me, I'm not getting booked anywhere. Listen, if you're trying to get booked in Atlanta, you better be ready to grind and do your own events, because you're not gonna get paid out here by these clubs, especially now,
Yeah.
So just by then seeing my grind and how innovative I was with the radio and the different events and good at influencing people to play the records and everything like that. It started like that. Then it started, they wanted to book Zay as DJ. So I taught him how to DJ.
Okay.
So that's how the tour DJ thing came out. At first, he was just hosting and doing everything and bringing the artist out and stuff. And I was just DJing, but they want to see Zay DJ. But because I did that for the booking agent, you have to understand, when I saw Zay had a DJ, that created a stream of income for a handful of people. These handful of people, PR, booking agents, people like that. So when you do something like that, they're like, hey, Zay's doing the Maxim party. They want you to do a 15-minute set and introduce them. And they want you to do that in Boston. They want you to do that here. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so that's what I started doing. I'd be so nervous at first. I'd have to get a shot of tequila and be like, everybody make some noise. I don't know what it was. I still get nervous sometimes. I get nervous when I'm doing my own radio show sometimes. I had a time period when I didn't used to get nervous, but I don't know. I don't know. I think I just have some new anxiety going on right now. Or something. It's probably all this caffeine that I got to have all the energy to accomplish my goals.
We're gonna go back. Let me go back to hip hop a little bit. Let's talk about some of your favorite personal songs in history that move you in a certain way or another. What are your personal favorites?
My personal favorites? Ooh, I got a bunch. A bunch. I'll definitely have to say Equipment Eye is one of them. Let me go back. And I'm going to think of something that I really liked from back then. Honestly, the first hip-hop song that ever, engulfed me was My Mind's Playing Tricks on Me. That song, hearing that song changed my life, forever. And that was in 91, 92.
Yeah.
Oh, when I think about stuff now, oh my gosh, anything from Mobb Deep. There's a war going on outside. Honestly, I was gonna pull that back out. What is it, Survival of the Fittest?
Survival of the Fittest, yeah.
If that's the name of that song, right? I was gonna probably bring that song back out, just because of the times and everything that's going on. Shook Ones. It's not any different than anyone else. I have certain songs that I like. Now, one of my favorite hype songs, because I used to perform it a lot with Dinko, was Scenario Remix.
Okay, yeah, I remember the remix.
When you go to Wu-Tang Clan, the one with the vocalist on it, It's Raining.
It's raining, my man is gone away. Rainy Days, Rainy Days, yeah.
Rainy Days, yeah.
That's on Raekwon. That's on Raekwon's on the Purple Tape.
Yeah. I just got chills thinking about that song.
I'm going to listen to it as soon as I finish this.
And then also Liquid Swords.
Liquid Swords, yeah. A lot of people consider that to be a lot of people I've heard say that it's the best Wu-Tang album. A lot of people consider it.
It is. And then Raekwon is probably number two. I don't know though. Brooklyn Zoo.
Oh yeah.
I know, yeah.
It takes a special person to appreciate the Old Dirty. Yeah. Takes a special person.
Old Dirty was my favorite though. He was really my favorite. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Did you see the thing they played a game? Which Wu-Tang Clan member would you be surprised? Would you be surprised if they were a Trump supporter or not? And they said, ODB was crazy enough to be a Trump supporter.
Just
to be ignorant.
And wouldn't have a problem telling you.
I know.
Yeah. All right. As a DJ who knows and understands sounds and vibrations, what producers move your soul? Where you play something in a room, is there a favorite producer you'd like to go to at a certain time? What are those producers? For me, it was Pete Rock. Large Professor, Eric Sermon, guys like that. But I think a little older that I've gotten, I'm appreciating now the guys like N.O. Joe, Pimp C, Manny Fresh, of course. I'm appreciating those guys like that.
I think that that's a hard question to answer because there's so many different parts of production that I like and a reason why I would like it. Like specifically with the Manny Fresh thing, it's for Manny Fresh, it's a cultural thing. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah.
It's definitely. Like to appreciate the grittiness and the griminess of the culture is part of like the reason why it's like not everybody's going to be into it, just like not everybody's going to be into bluegrass. I'm not into bluegrass, but my dad was into bluegrass, and he liked bluegrass for probably a lot of the same reasons why I like the Manny Fresh sound and the Nola Bounce type sound. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
To be honest, when it came to production, it was really anything that did not come from Florida.
Okay.
Even though I came from Florida and I love that stuff now, but I just felt like really basic, and knowing everything that what hip hop had to offer, and that the whole, like, I don't know, just that whole sound, and it just like made me feel basic and kind of guilty because it just wasn't as meaningful as the other stuff, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Listening to all the Luke and the Clay D.
Yeah.
But to be honest with you, that stuff was teen club stuff for me.
Okay.
I was like, by the time I was 15 and 16, I wasn't even into that anymore, you know? Because and it was because of DJ Kenny K. I used to literally call the radio station when I was 15. He would give me shout outs on the air, and he would take the time to talk to me. He had to know I was kidding. Yeah.
Oh, that's dope. That's dope. I remember calling the radio station, making requests when I was young too. Yeah.
Mm.
And you mentioned that Manny Fresh sound earlier, and I think and you said something that was key. Unless you understand the culture or the subculture, you wouldn't understand it.
Right.
And you know, I come from New Orleans, so I spent my high school years in New Orleans, so I understand New Orleans is a place of percussion. It's a place of rhythm. You have to move a certain way when you hear it. That's why New Orleans is aggressive on the mic, and that's why you have they move like that.
Exactly.
And you have to understand the percussion.
One of my favorite bands comes from New Orleans, and I've seen them several times. I've seen them at Smith's Old Bar and a few different places. What is it, Rebirth? Rebirth, yeah. I seen them when they came down. They old Smith's Old Bar, and then there's the other one on the west side. I was at that show. Oh, that's dope. Yeah. There's this dread that used to be in Little 5 Points. I can't remember what his name was. I wish I remember what his name was, but he was a really cool, like, he was like a street guy, really. Like, he stayed at I remember because I dropped him off after the show, and I was like, do you want me to take you home? I'll take you home. Yeah. He lived at that Efficiency on North Avenue in Park Place. That's where he lived at. Yeah, I was crazy. I didn't care. But he was just like a cool guy. You know what I mean? Yeah. That was what, like 2004?
About that. Yeah, it had to be about that time. Yeah.
Yeah, and then I think that the reason why I met him is because, you know, I was a resident at Django. Do you remember Django? And that's where we would all be. Oh, yeah. Django was over by Gladys Knight Chicken and Waffles, where that used to be. It's where Django was. Yeah, like right in there. Yeah, that was a cool spot, too. Definitely Atlanta history. None of these spots are here anymore.
Yeah, I know. That's what I have to tell people about where Centennial Park is back in like 93, 94. That used to be rows of warehouses and industrial areas. They used to Club Soho, probably the best hip hop club I've ever been to. Club Soho was over there, and I mean, I remember being in there one night, and one of my guys I grew up too short, sitting right next to me at Soho, and it's stuff like that. That just that whole piece of history is gone. Platinum House, so much stuff happened at the Platinum House and all that is gone.
I can't believe I know Too Short now. It's so weird for me knowing that I know these people.
Ain't that something? That's the first. My brother introduced me to what underground rap was in 1988. Because before '88, we just knew of the Run DMC, Houdini, LL, and then one day in '88, he brought home Born to Mac, the Too Short Born to Mac album. Introduced me to underground rap, and I've been stuck on underground ever since.
Oh yeah, I know. I love Big Daddy Kane. Producers. Now, it's hard for me to say producers. Now, of course, when it comes to new music, I'm gonna go with Mike Will, Zaytoven. There's a lot of them new ones that are coming out. Metro Boomin, Kanye. But really, like when it comes down to like, if I was gonna give you a curated list, it'd be kind of weird. Steely and Clevie.
Okay.
And Sly and Robbie. Scientist.
I've heard of both of them.
Yeah. Like little the reggae little duos that created basically every single rhythm that every single foundation song is based off of. All of it. Yeah. So really into that. And I say the Scientist over King Jammy because I know them too, and I know that they had the same kind of stuff going on back then too. You know, you have somebody originating it and being the actual technical person of it, and you have the guy that's the record producer that's putting out all the records and putting his name in on everything and stamp on everything, but he wasn't the one doing the work.
Right.
Or if he was doing the work, he took the technique and copied it.
Okay. I got you.
Mm-hmm.
That's something to think about.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned guys who I guess would be people consider off the beaten path. Like one of my favorite producers also would be Devontae from Jodeci.
Mm-hmm.
Incredibly revolutionary for what he was able to do with R&B and bring in some of those hip hop break beats and incorporate with what R&B was doing at the time.
Mm-hmm. Who did they say they wanted to verse? They said that Jodeci would have a hard time beating Drew Hill or something like that. I was like, you're crazy.
No, they
You'll smoke them.
Yeah, I remember and I just told somebody yesterday there was a time I think I think it was Casey said at one time the only group that they were ever worried about was H-Town.
H-Town. Yeah, didn't one of them die?
Yeah, one of the twins in a car accident. Yeah, one of the twins.
Awful. Yeah, I loved H-Town too.
Yeah, H-Town was dope.
Oh yeah, I used to wear them. Oh, I used to dress like all of these dudes. I used to go to merry-go-round or whatever, and I used to get the double suits, and I had the big shiny Doc Martens, you know, the combat boots, and oh my gosh, I used to try to dress like Left Eye. I love TLC, but now Jodeci.
Yeah,
that's probably one of the most legendary. That's the most legendary outside, even more than R. Kelly. What was the name of was the whole album called Cry For You? What was the name of that whole album?
That was Diary of a Mad Baby.
Stay? Diary of a Okay, so what I was like, was it Stay? I'm like, I know all the songs. Don't talk. Just listen. You know? Now, the one thing that I want to talk about Jodeci is Jodeci's the first group that I ever heard remake a song. And when I found out that it was originally Stevie Wonder, and I went and listened to the Stevie Wonder song, I thought it was trash compared to Jodeci's
compared to the remake.
Lately.
Yeah.
The live version of Lately?
Live version of Lately, yeah, exactly. I could, I guess I would echo that sentiment because I heard Jodeci's version before I actually heard the Stevie Wonder's version. Yeah.
Same.
Yeah.
It's kind of like I Will Always Love You. Like nobody wants to hear Dolly Parton's version.
Right. Yeah, you're right. No, what's going on with let's talk about Rude Girl Radio. What's up with Rude Girl Radio?
Well, I have been doing virtually like you.
Mm-hmm.
And actually I really like doing it virtually. I actually took a class. I'm almost done with it. I just got a few more videos to watch. I took a class in Premiere. So I've been like learning how to edit videos and use titles and everything like that. Yeah. And it's been pretty amazing because the way that I've been doing it now, I've got this template to where I can drop the video in and I can, let's say there's 3 people on the Zoom call, I can just take out the little heads and like kind of stack them against each other and they're all 3 across. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I don't know, like when you do that, it's like, dang, I'm gonna have to do a lot to get everybody back in here and get the video looking that good inside of the studio. I'm like, dang, maybe we should just keep doing this virtually. Because I was thinking about bringing my hosts back in, but I decided to keep doing it like this. I've been able to diversify Rude Girl Radio.
Okay.
Because just because of the artist not having to be here in the studio, it's been amazing. Like yesterday, I just did an artist. I just had a show. His name is Big Flock 187. He's from DC.
Okay.
Tats all over his face, crazy looking guy. But you know what? Those stories are important to tell, and I'm going to tell you why. Because of course we want to. Well, not me. But like Gen X wants to look at guys like that, like they're so ignorant and this and that, and talk all this. They didn't have no guidance. They said all these awful things about them and say bad things about their music and everything. But at the end of the day, somebody that is in their mid-20s now, you know what I'm saying? Their fathers are Gen X. So that is a reflection on you. And how you raised the kid if you have a problem with that. However, you have to remember that these children, you know, when they were born during the crack epidemic. They had a crazy upbringing. You know what I'm saying? It's going to make them, you know, resort
Mm-hmm.
to different types of lifestyles. And, you know, then a lot of these young men, they're going to prison and they're like, hold on, wait a minute, this isn't what I signed up for. But they already got the tats on their face and they have already living their own truth and they have a certain type of way that they are.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like these are I'm talking about the type of people that they don't even want to come anywhere if they can't smoke.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
You know, and guess what? They have every right to be like that too. I can't stand it when I hear white people, and not even just white people, but black people or anybody talk about negatively about somebody being ratchet or ghetto or anything like that. It's like, so what's wrong with that? That's a part of culture.
That's
to be honest,
culture,
it's a part of culture. There's nothing wrong with it. You know, it's like when it's white people, you want to call them Appalachian or whatever. You know what I'm saying? And then it's like, oh my gosh, we've got the Appalachian culture of Cabbage Town. No, there's some hillbillies. But it's cool. You know, they want to have a PBS documentary about it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So that's why I tell these stories, because this is the same kind of story. This is a person and this is a human being and this person's lives matter. And at the end of the day, if these white supremacists come out and they're going to be our best defense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, because trust me, they got the Uzis and they got the choppers.
They got them, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that's ironically you say that because I started my podcast maybe 2.5 years ago. Mm-hmm. And I think it was my own contemporaries are the ones that's giving me the hardest time. I rented studios, put money down. People hadn't shown up. Mm-hmm. I'm talking about some of the legends from this city. I mean, I put money down. I did this, I did that, and reached out to them. It's the young guys that reach out to me. Yes. They want to send me their music. They're the ones who would talk to me out in public. Like I said yesterday, they called me OG and this and that. So because they do that, I open up a forum. I open up a forum to them because I understand. I understand when I was 20, 19, 20, 21 years old. I understand where they are now as like where I was then. I had to grow to who I am today. And I think my attitude affected, my relationship with my own son around the time when he was 13. Because I consider myself this person or as knowledgeable on music and hip hop culture, but I wasn't trying to hear. I wasn't trying to hear with the young one. I was just one of those dudes. I don't want to hear that. But I embrace it. Now, once I started embracing that, it improved our relationship with my son. And I appreciate the music that they make. Because like I said, it was once me.
Yeah. Well, there's a few things about that. It's just like my dad sitting there listening to Violent by Tupac with me to connect with me. Yeah. You know, and that's another thing too, is when you turn away these people and you don't take them seriously, it's an opportunity for mentorship and you can help them become better.
Right.
Why wouldn't you want to do that? You know, also, you know, the other thing too is that it goes back to what I was saying about being thirsty and chasing people and then messing with the people that chase you. Yeah. The people that are looking for you. It's like, look for those who are looking for you. You know what I'm saying? Because they asked me to interview that guy and my friend from DTLR Radio. And I had went and looked at his profile. I'm like, he's got 100,000 followers. That's going to be, you know, I like the music anyways. He is on a feature on a song called 495, and it's got Rico Nasty and a bunch of other DMV artists. The name of the song is called 495. Okay. It sounds like it's produced by Kanye. It's one of those like good music type production. I think it might be good music. I think it is good music. Yeah. So, you know, like I said, it's just kind of like these people, they have stories and the story needs to be told. And it's just like, you're being a hip hop snob if you're sitting there acting like it's just all mumble rap and it's all trash. It's like, what are you doing to help change any of it or set a good example or any of that? Right. Not to mention, you know, the easiest people to sell marketing to are people that are contacting you about marketing their music.
Marketing their music. I got you. Yeah.
So why wouldn't you do that? You know? Right. And that in itself is how I stopped with all the, oh my gosh, I only want to go to this concert and that. And that's what stopped me from being a hip hop snob. Because those people didn't fuck with me. Right. They didn't book me. Right. They didn't like me. You know what I'm saying? The people that were booking me for their parties and stuff like that, the reggae parties, you know, they don't book women like that, much less white women, you know? Yeah. I got in here and there, but it wasn't anywhere like I deserved with my talent, you know? Right. So with that being said, the people that were booking me, I would show up thinking I'm doing this like party gig, and then all of a sudden, oh shit, this is a showcase.
That's funny. You brought up the term hip hop snob. Also, because just recently I've been asking the question to a couple of people, do you think over the years, hip hop has developed a class system, and I said, "Damn right it has." And I'm gonna do a show about that one day. And at some point, I want to say maybe it came in the early 2000s, but a lot of people, I don't know, a lot of people flocked to where whatever Universal Music would start putting out a lot of, they took over the game at a certain point. People start flocking to whatever they were putting out.
Yeah.
Looking at somebody independent as they not on our level. So I guess that's where earlier the conversation we were going with the Manny Fresh and Scott Storch. I saw a lot of people just talking about the hits. Storch got hits, but Manny's got catalog. Got millions and millions of albums, and
he created a genre.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like that's what the difference is. Somebody like Scott Storch, he had all that handed to him.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I really don't know his story. Like, I could be speaking too much, but he didn't grind for it the way that Manny Fresh did. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But yeah, I agree with you totally and 100% on that, and especially with like the whole like hip hop snob thing. It's like they think that some people they just think that they're better than other people because they're more educated. Or they say a T instead of a C when they say street. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Instead of just understanding the culture and the dialect and the nuances and just enjoy it.
Yeah, just enjoy it. It doesn't always have to be a this versus that. And I think people somewhere along the line, people forgot that hip hop was a street culture to begin with. I mean, it was a street culture. The gangs put the colors down and start partying with each other. That's what hip hop has always been. And I guess I still embrace that to the day. I don't turn my back on anybody because it's street. Because like in the South, all this shit started in the street. It was financed from the street. So, so I thank you for thank you for joining me today, DJ Roots Queen. You got anything you wanna say?
Independent artists, just make sure that if you're trying to reach out, sign up. Zaytownglobal.com. We've got an app too. You can upload your music for free. We do have a paid package too, which is like a distribution thing. So basically the artist, but see with the paid package, you can just upload more music and you have other ways to monetize it, you know, and more marketing and stuff. But I think you can upload up to 3 tracks. There's tons of producers on there. There's tons of other artists to work with. There's fans on there, but it's just like our own platform because that's basically what we wanted to do was find a way to give back to all of the people that send us music and want us to check out their music. We can't sign everybody, but we want to help everybody.
Right.
So if you're looking for that help, sign up at zaytownglobal.com. I'm always going through the music that I like and playlisting stuff and everything. And I'm checking out everybody. So, you know.
Appreciate that. Where can they reach you on social media?
At DJ Roots Queen everywhere.
DJ Roots Queen everywhere.
Yeah, make sure you follow at Root Girl Radio.
All right. This is your host, Nathan Rito, a.k.a. The Professor, your curator of dope shit on the Genius Generation podcast. And today I'm closing up with DJ Roots Queen. And I want to thank you for joining me once again. I want to thank you and your team for blessing me with your appearance today. And I'm going to have that shirt. I'll be shipping that shirt out to you pretty soon, next week.
Okay, cool. All right, I wear a medium. I appreciate it.
All right, thank you.
Thanks for having me.
All right.
Okay, you too.
I'm wood grain gripping, slab top flipping. My slab game superb, and since the sun night, I'm about to crawl and sip some syrup.
It's like this though, I'm tired of folks, you know what I'm saying? Closed-minded folks, you know what I'm saying? It's like we got a demo tape and nobody want to hear, but it's like this, the South got something to say, that's all I got to say.